Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. A whole bunch of fun personal development stuff on this channel, and I cannot wait to get into today's video. You know, I mentioned in my series, The Startup of You, I have connected with some really cool people, gotten in touch with CEOs, I've gotten to do interviews with really special, important people, and I've got to collaborate with really interesting people as well. And so I wanted to share that with you today. Now, number one, I would recommend you know or have some type of general idea of what you'd like to happen from this outcome. When it comes to business, you're also going to want to think of a WIIFM statement. You want to keep in mind what they can gain from this conversation with you. The next thing that you're going to want to do is have something that you're working on, because, and the reason why I say this is the people who are that you reach out to are going to stalk you, okay? They're going to look at your pages. This recently happened when I reached out to Sean Griffith, who runs the Startup Cup. Now, I met Sean years ago, and lo and behold, he looked at my page and he responded, and the response he sent me was very personalized to things that I had up on my LinkedIn. So I say this because you want to know the context that you're giving somebody when you're reaching out to them. When somebody doesn't know who you are and they click on your page, or if they Google search you and your website comes up, what is the vibe that they're getting? And this can even come down to the photo that you're using on Gmail. How are you really presenting yourself? These seem like really small things, but the person that you're reaching out to, for the most part, unless you've met them at like a conference or something, doesn't know you. So you need to give them context. The next thing that I would highly recommend, I know I just said that I reached out to Sean on LinkedIn, but in general, if you want to get serious with people and you want to do business with them and you want to make a mark, you are going to want to email them. You're not going to want to go through social media. Busy, hardworking people take their email inbox very seriously. Email, for one, is linked to business. And I know us young whippersnappers over here are used to using social media for everything, but especially if you're trying to connect with somebody that's much older than you, that is in a different generation, it's like a boomer or something, right? They are not going to take social media. They probably won't even read their messages, to be honest with you. You're going to want to email them. It's very, very important. Let's just put it this way. When I get a job opportunity, if it comes through LinkedIn versus, I mean, I love LinkedIn, don't get me wrong, but if it came through LinkedIn versus email, I know the email one is going to offer me more. Something about email that has a level of respect to it that you can't overlook. And if you don't happen to know the person's email, I recommend going on to hunter.io or whatever, okay? Like this video because I'm throwing bombs at you. If you are planning to reach out to somebody on social media, like it's a blog is actually a really great way to make a personal connection. Writing a blog takes a lot of energy. So if you recognize what that person is writing about, they're really sharing a deep part of themselves on there. If you write an email related back to that, or if you respond in a comment, it's going to really create a deeper connection with that person, especially if they spent so much time writing this really well-crafted blog, for example, and they don't have any comments on it. You not just saying, oh, it's great. Like if you actually have like a really thoughtful response replying to their blog, it's going to make you stand out. So now that we got that out of the way, the next thing that you want to keep in mind is, okay, you can be quirky to stand out, but that's not always the best way to go about it. In fact, I was watching this really great video from one of the people at Y Combinator. I love them so much. And they were basically saying that you don't want to do something that's like kind of off-putting and everything. At least I've had success being quirky and weird with people, like just saying off-the-wall stuff. I understand if you're weird, but you know, you really want to maybe temper this. The best way to hands down make connections with people is to actually attend conferences. It is the secret sauce. And I know that if you happen to be somebody that's very antisocial like me, like I get it, like we want to be vampires in our house and just come out at night and just whenever we see people, like I get it. But if you really want to build connections with people, which is a very important thing to do, it is really important to have social skills. Best kept secret of being able to really make connections with people is to go to events. And when you go to an event, nervous to reach out and or walk up to somebody. I was so nervous to walk up to Ramit Sethi because he is the person that I respect the most. He's like my favorite celebrity. I freaking he's amazing, okay? And so when I went up to him at HustleCon, I was shaking in my boots over here, but I still mustered up the courage to go go over and talk to him. And it was just really great. And I ended up reaching out to him, and he remembered me, giving him pointers on changing up his thumbnail strategy on his YouTube channel to really help drive traffic to his podcast. That was incredibly memorable to me, and I'll never forget that. It's a different context than when you're just talking online. And if you meet people in person first and then continue that conversation through LinkedIn or through email, it really creates a stronger bond. So if you attend an event online, like I got invited to go to NP, so the speakers that they have, I will go out and add them on LinkedIn. And if I'm feeling really compelled to respond to them, I'm going to reach out to them through email. So that is what I would recommend for that. Even if you are too anxious to go to a social event, your social anxiety is through the roof, you could still go to events online and you can make connections with people and reach out to them. Last but not least, these are really important things. Again, if you're interested, I can make a whole other video talking about social skills and really being able to build those things out. I did study communication studies when I was at San Jose State, especially body language was something that I was really passionate about. Some of the things that you want to keep in mind is never to grovel and never put yourself completely below them. You want to have reverence and respect for the person. You don't have to completely just like kiss their ass, okay? Like you want to have like something meaningful that you're saying to them. You're not going to be like, please sir, like notice me senpai. Like you don't want that energy. The emails that you craft are going to be ones with reverence and respect for that person. But if you use that notice me senpai attitude, like you're going to repel people like crazy. So one of the things that I learned from my dad, and I know my dad and I have had a rocky relationship with each other, but I have learned, that's how I learned my work ethic is through my dad. He works around a lot of successful people, and what he told me that really had an impact on me is that people that are successful put their pants on the same way that everybody else does. And they don't, unless they're really narcissistic, which we'll get into a second, they don't want you to just grovel over them. They don't like it, okay? They won't respect you either. I remember like being really young and there would be an athlete that my dad was dealing with, and he told them just get the hell out of here because they were being really disrespectful. My dad would not put up with anybody. It didn't matter who they were, and that really, really rubbed off on me. So I don't even care. Like it doesn't matter who that person is. I will not take disrespect from anybody. And if you're a little doormat for these people, okay, like especially if they're in power, they are going to use and abuse you, okay, which gets into my next point, which a lot of people that are very successful, you really need to keep this in mind. There's been studies about people who happen to be famous having higher rates of narcissism. I don't want you to take that in the wrong way, but it is really important to know that that is a statistic out there. What drives some people to become extremely successful, and this is, the psychology behind it, is they do feel that there's something that they're trying to prove to the world. So be mindful, not everybody that you have on your list that you really want to connect with and that you respect is necessarily going to always be what you thought they were going to be, okay? So it's really important to keep that in mind as well. Shoot your shot, okay? The worst thing that can happen is you hear nothing, and that is actually not that bad, okay? So do yourself a favor, have the cojones to reach out to people that you respect and admire, and you never know who will actually respond back. So I hope that you enjoy this. Take care, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Mwah.